For as long as humanity has waged wars, the battleground hasn't only been against other men but against nature itself. The earth, the weather, the wild, they don't care who's right or wrong. And sometimes, when the chaos of war meets the chaos of wilderness, something terrifying rises. This is the story of wolves. Not just any wolves, but desperate, ravenous beasts driven to a bloodlust. And the men who tried to stop them. This is the forgotten war between man and wolf. Wolves are among the most iconic creatures on Earth. Despite centuries of persecution and destruction of their habitat, they've survived, thrived even in the shadows of civilization. Like us, they are social, smart, and territorial. They raise families. They protect their homes. They even mourn their dead. They are cunning predators, adapted to extreme conditions. And when they hunt together, they are deadly. A single wolf pack will stake out a territory up to 50 square miles, sometimes expanding to 1,000 when prey is scarce. They can cover up to 30 miles a day, stalking their quarry, large Eurasian wolves reaching -1 feet long and 180 pounds go after wild boar, elk, caribou. But when food disappears, their instincts turn to more desperate options, sometimes including us. Wolves have hunted alongside and against humans for over 40,000 years. In fact, the first dogs likely came from wolves we tamed, but long before loyalty, there was fear. Ancient legends, myths of werewolves, dark forests echoing with howls. These aren't just fairy tales. When prey animals die off due to disaster, harsh winters, earthquakes, or war, wolves turn toward human settlements. First, they go after livestock, then people. Yes, even in the modern era. In 2021, a Russian farmer fought off a wolf with his bare hands after it killed his dogs and attacked his horses. It's not rare in Russia, with forest destruction. Wolves come closer and attacks grow bolder. Unlike in North America, where wolves rarely threaten humans due to firearm culture, Russia and parts of Europe remain more vulnerable. Researcher Will N. Graves spent 50 years studying Russian wolves. He noted, one wolf. Maybe you can fight it off. A pack. You're dead without a weapon. During Soviet times, reports of attacks were even suppressed because a frightened public is a dangerous public, but when war pulls able-bodied men away from rural areas, wolves take over. Left unchecked, their numbers grow. When food runs out, packs that normally compete for territory band together, dozens, even hundreds, uniting into a super pack. And what happens next is something scientists call surplus killing. They don't just hunt. They massacre, they kill everything, then move on, leaving mutilated bodies behind. Let's rewind. To the winter of 1438, France is locked in the 100 Years' War. The country is battered, starving, and cold. A recent plague outbreak has drained morale and population alike. Then came the wolves. The forests surrounding Paris were filled with starving packs. Driven mad with hunger and desperation, one enormous pack led by a Redford Alpha, the locals dubbed Cortad or Bobtail, began attacking villages. They didn't stop at livestock. They began targeting people. Worse yet, these wolves had no fear of walls, of men, or of steel. Cortad had reportedly lost his tail during a failed raid through the city gate, slammed shut just in time by guards. And from that day, he led his army with vengeance. Desperate Parisians even began throwing plague-ridden corpses over the walls to poison the wolves, but the beasts didn't die. They grew bolder. Then came the turning point, a hidden gap beneath. The frozen Seine allowed the wolves to enter Paris itself. They crossed the ice. And they attacked. 40 clergymen leaving Notre Dame were the first victims. They never stood a chance. Ripped apart in the street while terrified citizens watched from behind shuttered windows. Paris was paralyzed, but one man, Captain Basilier of the city guard, had a plan. He convinced the king to bait the wolves into a trap. A square near Notre Dame was chosen. The river gate was raised to let them in. Entrances were barricaded, save one, outfitted with a heavy drop gate. Garbage was withheld, food was slaughtered in the square. Intestines, blood, and entrails were dragged through the snow all the way from the river. For 10 days the wolves circled but did not enter, until hunger overtook caution. On the 11th day, hundreds of wolves poured through the opening, led by the crimson-furred Courtauld. The gate dropped shut behind them, and hell broke loose. Archers rained arrows from rooftops. Spears thrust from behind barricades, but the wolves fought like demons, fast, furious, and horrifyingly resistant. In the center of the square, surrounded by fountains and blood, stood Courtauld untouched. Basilier and his knights descended into the melee. Wolfhounds were released. And yet, not one hound survived. Courtauld killed a dozen dogs himself. The battle reached its climax in the most medieval of duels. Captain Basilier stepped forward, lance in hand. He challenged the Volf king one-on-one. Courtauld accepted. The lance struck true, impaling the Volf's chest, but Courtauld lunged forward, claws tearing, teeth ripping through leather and steel. He slashed Basilier's throat open even as he died. The two fell together, locked in death. The man and the beast, the captain and the king. Bells rang out across the city. Over 300 wolves lay dead in the square. The reign of Courtauld had ended. Though the tale has likely been embroidered through time, the records confirm the attack. And the trauma left behind was very real. France would suffer more Volf attacks in the centuries to follow, most notably the Beast of Gavaudan in the 1700s. But none quite like the Siege of Paris, none with a Volf that ruled like a warlord. 500 years later, 1917, World War I Eastern Front, Russia and Germany locked in brutal trench warfare, and again the coldest winter of the century, with men dying in foxholes and battlefields frozen solid. Another predator emerged. Wolves, driven mad by starvation, began attacking both sides. Not even bullets could stop them. German and Russian soldiers were forced into ceasefires. Not to negotiate peace, but to kill wolves together. This is not mythology. This is history. Nature, when pushed to its limits, doesn't wait for our wars to end. Sometimes the battlefield is shared not just with enemies in uniform, but with teeth, claws, and hunger that knows no sides. In those rare moments, men fight wars with wolves.